And
All right, sorry guys, I don't know what happened there. Something malfunctioned with the audio. That's never really happened. Anyway, um, we're back. And just to inform you of exactly what we are talking about today is a family survival guide for COVID-19. So, I mean, there's a lot of great aspects for talking about this right now because we don't know the longevity that we will be confined with our little loved ones in our homes. And I think in an ideal situation, we would have A, B, C, and D in order, but unfortunately, we didn't have as much time to probably prepare just because we are human and sometimes we have to do things off the cuff. And before we begin, just to help support our channel, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. So, Sam, do you want to take it away?
well, why don't you start off with the whole reason why we came up with this video,
Okay. So, the
and then we'll
whole
go from there.
reason, and I did mention this while I was talking to myself apparently a few minutes ago. So, I read this post this morning, and no judgment, but I think that we're losing sight of our responsibility as an adult or as a parent. And so this morning there was this message, and this mom was saying, my kids will do their homework whenever they want. We're sitting around watching TV all day. We get outside once in a while. We're not in routine. And there was a picture of their children just laying on the couch watching TV. And basically, just stating that that was like their daily routine, fight or flight survival guide right now as a parent. And I think what we're forgetting is our influence on children and what we're teaching them in moments of distress and in moments of uncertainty is that we can't we don't have the ability to reinvent ourselves. We don't have the ability to become the best versions of ourselves, and I think that's false. I think in situations like this is no better time or reason to share those ideas and reinvent yourself as an adult with your child, because you are essentially their model. You are their model. You are the energy that is being shared within the household. And if you're stuck on a device, they're stuck on a device. If you're staying inside, they're staying inside. If you're not reading, they're not reading. So we have to understand that they look to you for guidance. They look to you for boundaries. They look to you for routine. They they look to you more than you think. And what better opportunity than to show them what to do in bouts of uncertainty in this world? That was the whole premise of this topic this morning, which we kind of just said, hey, why don't we say something and like give people some ideas or encourage them to shine in moments like this, right? So what are your thoughts?
So first and foremost, I would say kids don't do what you say.
Yeah.
They always do what you do. So
Yeah.
I think what they're really showing you is the lack of the things that you're doing within yourself. We did a video a long time ago called The Mirror Effect.
Yeah.
And anything that you perceive on the outside world that's a problem that isn't working is the exact same thing that is happening on the inside. So when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to your children are a reflection of your standards. They're a
Mm-hmm.
reflection of your beliefs. They're a reflection of your energy. They're a reflection of how you see problems. If you
Yeah.
are sitting around on your phone looking at CNN and news articles and this constant flood of negativity, well, guess what they're doing? They're going to do that same level of energy, but in a different way, watching TV
Yeah.
on their iPad, sitting around, moping around, doing things that aren't high quality things. So I think what's really important, and I don't want to seem like I'm perfect because we are literally in unprecedented times.
Of
Like this
course.
has never happened. So I get it. If you're watching this, you don't even know where to begin. I get it if you're watching this and you're worried about where your next paycheck's going to come or if you're going to go back to work. I get it if you're worried that if you go back to work, is, the school going to go back? What are you going to do with your children? There she goes again. What are you going to do with your children? There's so many uncertainties that exist right now. But there's one specific thing that I've learned is that when in times of uncertainty, gee, you know what? We're
I'm in
playing
a very bad area right now.
we're playing hide and seek right now.
Keep going.
I played that with my wife earlier. But anyways, no, I mean, we're in uncertain times, guys.
Yeah,
So
it's true.
I get it if you're stuck in your head. I get it if you're worried about your finances. I get it if you're worried if you're going to have a job or if your client is going to go through with the commitments they made, or if they're not. I get it if there's a lot of stress at home in your relationship. Maybe you guys are arguing about things you didn't do because, you guys have never spent so much time together. In these uncertain times, I think what will happen is if you really sit back and watch, it'll point out the areas that you need to grow.
Yeah.
So if there's one thing that me and my wife do, and she's pretty amazing. She is literally someone that I model because, no matter what we've been through in our relationship, whether it's with the children or us, she's always been very consistent in her model of how she sees things. So she's always very positive, always very looking at things from the half glass full. And one thing that I find that she's really done, she's been really adamant about rituals with the kids. So reading every day, homework. She starts to notice that their energy is being picked up, and if they're playing toys and other activities, whether it's crafts, she's taking them outside to burn some energy. Right? We're doing the exact same thing. So some things that we've also done is we've made them go through their toys. Today, we literally rearranged all the rooms. They wiped their furniture down. They, did their floors. They're going through things that they didn't need. My wife and I were doing the exact same things. You have all this energy that's being built up. So you're either using it to fill your worries, which is the uncertainty, which is the anxiety, which is the unknowns of the future, or like a quote that I put on Facebook and all my social media, which is depression is focusing on the past and living in regret. Anxiety is living in the future, worrying about the uncertainties. And the only power that we have is in the present moment. So the things that I want to share with you that we're doing at home, and maybe you're struggling with, especially with the posts you have, is, what? You really need to take ownership as a parent. And what your kids are doing and not doing is a reflection of your own discipline, your own standards, the way you choose to spend time. And if it's not something that's empowering, it's not something that's creating a lot of flow of creativity, it's not something that's building good energy, then just take a couple moments and sit down and get a piece of paper, because I know when we're in our heads, especially with everything that's going, it's so hard to see anything positive that you can do to make some shifts. So get a piece of paper and write down some things you can do for yourself every day that you can do with your children, whether it's an activity, some homework, a craft, anything, drawing. Think of some things that they can do to be creative. Limit their social media, limit their TV time, whether it's for you or them. That will be the drain on your energy. That'll be the drain on your family. That will be the drain right now. You have to minimize that. I mean, we get caught up in that, my wife and I, and sometimes we'll catch each other. We literally set a goal for each other that we will only look at it at the end of the day. Have we been perfect? No, because you get a family member calling you saying this just happened or that just happened. So I want to share something with you that someone shared with me. And it's this: if it gets really bad, someone is going to call you and let you know. Yeah. So let that be the source of what's to happen next. Yeah. Fill your time on, doing some things for work, having the kids have a good platform, a good discipline, some good rituals for growing and learning and burning off that energy, and find a way every day where you guys can do something together.
Yeah, it's so true. And I mean, let's be realistic. There is no perfect scenario. However, you're going to experience behaviors. And sometimes, we mask things with just being complacent because we don't want to handle the behaviors. Okay. it happens. Children are there to push the boundaries because we're there to teach them the boundaries. And how are you guys dealing with that at home? Are you finding that there are even still that you have that routine? Like, is there still some behaviors? Are they pushing boundaries? What does that look like for you guys?
For us, it's the same.
Yeah.
It's business as usual. Like whatever like discipline that we have, it gets carried out no matter what happens.
Right.
We don't change because of this. We've already set standards in place of how we obviously discipline our children if they're being out of line. So some things that we do, if maybe you're dealing with this, and we actually have some really good positive outcomes with this, is we try to show them that they're not being punished when they're doing something wrong.
Right.
And maybe you're going to start being around a lot more of that today because of all the time that we're spending with one another. So what we usually do, whether it's at the dinner table, lunch table, or wherever it might be, is we usually try to put a positive spin on it, which is, look, you know what? We think you need to take some time, go to your room, take some time to cool down. They like our kids when they're doing homework, whether it's math or reading, whether it's my daughter or sons, like the other day they got frustrated. They were trying to figure out something with writing, or my daughter with her math. They were getting frustrated. What did we do? Take some time away. You're not in a good state. In a bad state, on the worst day, you won't on a good day, you won't conquer much. So what we try to do is we'll put on a little workout video. We'll go tell them to go get some fresh air. We'll get them to go to the room so they can collect their thoughts, let out any anger, anything they might have. And then we'll check in about 5 minutes. Are you ready? No? Okay, stay a little longer, or maybe go do something else. And then they'll come back to the homework. If we don't see an improvement, we get them to keep repeating it until their state goes up. Because I read once that when you're in a positive, empowered state, you actually retain 80% more of what you're learning. So the creativity flows more, right? So those are some things that we do. Number one, when it comes to them being off kilter, when it comes to homework, and also anything in the house, like when it comes to cleaning up their stuff, they get distracted within seconds. We try to get them back on focus. Oh, that snack that you wanted? Well, guess what? That's not happening right now. Let's work on making that better so you can get it later on. So the discipline is just a platform that you and your wife create together, that you go in together, and they don't use you as instruments or tools to use against each other, but rather something simple that you say, here's how we're going to tackle this. Here's how we're going to get them out of this, and you stick with it.
And how important is consistency?
Oh, without consistency, you have nothing. You have to remember, we are creatures of habit.
Of course we are.
And it takes 20 days to develop a habit. So, and imagine it takes 20 days to break that old habit. So, it's going to take 20 times to, it's like, I can remember our daughter at a very young age, like she never slept for the first 2 years.
Right.
And then, do you remember? And my wife and I had to be on the same page when it came to starting to get her in a sleep schedule. And it was tough. It was hard. But after a week, a couple days, 2 weeks, it got better. And then it just, our brains with neuroplasticity, our brains have the capacity to shift and create new channels of ways to learn things, to perceive things, to do things. And it's no different than your child. And all that's going to do for you, you have to create the discipline in yourself. It's got nothing to do with your kids. Your kid's discipline level is the same discipline that you have with yourself, your own rituals, your own behaviors, your own problems, your own habits, and things that you need to change.
Yep. And when they get up, so what does that look like for you guys? Because it's like they're looking to you for direction for the day. Do they know what's coming?
So what we do is, number one, when it comes to breakfast, they have their rituals. The rooms have to be clean. They have to brush their teeth, the self-care, wash their face, get clothed. If there's times where my wife and I want to sleep in, we know the TV's running. We know the likelihood of them doing all those things didn't happen.
Of course.
We're okay with that. We don't expect perfection. We're not, we're not drill sergeants, right? But what we do when we come into their presence is we make a connection, and then we say, okay, clearly you've had breakfast. Here's what you need to do next. Let's get back to that. Just like any other day, these are the rituals.
And how old are you? Can you just tell everyone how old your 3 little ones are?
So our youngest is 4, middle is 7, and oldest is 9.
9. And do you think that the 9-year-old takes the lead a lot, or do you think that they all pull their own weight because of the expectation?
I think they're all different.
Yeah.
everyone has their own unique personalities, right? And I think really what it comes down to, and I really, really struggled with this. I think today, especially when it comes to parenting, you almost feel guilty to discipline your children. But what I want to be very clear on is that discipline is a skill you give your child to be successful in life. So some things
100%.
that I do with my kids when I speak to them about the things that they do and they roll their eyes or they get upset is I say, whatever you're doing right now, the way you're perceiving this, the way you're going about, it's the exact same way you're going to go about your future, whether it's your goals, your dreams, your job, your family, when you have kids, the things that you want to do. And I said, this isn't for me. I always make it very clear, this isn't for me. I'm like, this is for you so that you can live the most fulfilling life. Do you want to be unorganized or do you
Mm-hmm.
want to be organized so you have time to spend doing the things that will fulfill you?
Yeah.
So I'm very specific and clear about that.
Very good. And I think that's a difficult part because it's like in moments like this, you almost want to appease
Yeah.
more than teach, right? And I think that there's so many teachable moments that we're forgetting that that's where we show up, and that's where we are able to be the teacher. Yes, they're taken away from their official teacher, but there's no better teacher than the person and the people that live in the same household, because they may look up to their teacher at school and that may be their source of comfort throughout the day, but coming home, they idealize their parents. They idealize
Mm.
their role and function within the family. And there's no greater time and there's no greater way to show that part of you to them by leading, by taking the role, taking the bull by the horns, and being their parent, truthfully.
Yeah. And I think people need to be very clear to understand what a teacher's role is.
Right,
Teacher's role is to teach and educate your child, not to discipline them, not to teach them how to thrive in life, not to
right.
teach them about the values of that's your job. That comes from home. Like we have a huge societal problem. Like, we spend most of our time in school, 18 years, whatever it might be. And then look at how the majority of the people are. Like today, the savings rate is the lowest it's ever been in human history. I heard a statistic that, like, especially with everything that's going on, like people don't have $400 to last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like that's from like a financial perspective, which also has to do a lot with like goal setting, relationships, values. These are things that they learn at home. It
Right.
is not your teacher's responsibility to teach them these things. However, in this case, where there is no school, make them be creative, make them
Yeah.
build things, make them do puzzles, make them draw, color, make them go outside and clean up. Like today, we fixed some things in the kids' rooms. I had my son hammer nails in the wall, put up
Great.
pictures. I had my other son help me fix his dresser. I had my daughter clean and organize her stuff and declutter. You really have to look at them individually and say, what are some key skills that they need? They're all different. We
Right.
are all different. You can't treat them all the
100%.
same. You have to go at them in different ways. You have to speak to them in different ways. You have to connect them with in different ways. And you have to teach them values in different ways because we are all unique, right?
Exactly. Like, I mean, if you want to talk about you and our differences growing up, I was always neat and organized and tidy.
I didn't have to be because mom cleaned up after me,
That's right.
right?
But it's a skill,
Yeah,
and it's something that you probably wish that you would have had a little bit more of
I agree. Yeah,
ingrained in your childhood so that you could be
100%.
prepared a little bit more now, right? And vice versa for things that I wish I kind of had a little bit more responsibility for when I was a child. So don't be afraid to test the waters with your kids. If you think they're not ready, it's because you're fearing the outcome. You're fearing the failure. They're not. They're not fearing the failure. They're looking to be shown the way. They're looking for you as their guardian, as their parent, to show them that when they do fail or if it doesn't work out the way as planned, to show them how to get back up. Let them fall. Let them make mistakes. Let them try. Let them make a mess. Teach them how to clean it up. That's the whole purpose of life. Nothing's ever going to be perfect. And just being complacent isn't going to teach them anything.
I agree 100%. I think if you, I know a lot of people have issues with their children respecting them.
Hmm.
And I just want to, that's always a reflection of the amount of respect you have for yourself,
Hmm.
or maybe your spouse has for you, the way you guys talk to one another. I can't see it how many times, whether it's a son speaking wrongly to the mother and it just routinely happens,
Yeah.
or vice versa. Like, you guys really need to sit down and realize the impact you're having and what you're teaching your kids, because they will find. One thing I was very specific on a while ago was the fact that my daughter would likely find a man in the way that I was treating my wife and her.
Mm.
And so, I'm not 100%, I'm not perfect by any means, but having that as a blueprint, and I make it very clear to my wife as well, like with the way she was with the boys, is, you know, we are creating blueprints for them.
Yeah.
And the key thing I want to touch on what you spoke about is it's going to be hard when you try to get them to do these new things. Like, our kids in the beginning used to like fight, argue, kick, scream. It would take hours.
Yeah.
I mean, hours. And it took weeks. And then it would go down to 45 minutes and 40 and 30. And now all of a sudden, there's no attitude.
Yeah.
We're setting up the table together. They're cleaning up together. When we ask, oh, did you forget to do this? They just go and do it. There's no, and yeah, there is times where that happens,
Of
but it
course.
is minimal. I will tell you, if you put the energy in, you have no idea what you will do for your family.
Yeah.
It is an unbelievable thing to give them. It's a gift.
Consistency, right?
Yeah.
Be the model, be the role
Yep.
model that they're seeking, right?
I agree. And if you think about responsibility and you break it down, it's response and the ability to respond,
Mm-hmm.
right? So just understand that you are going to have a huge impact on them,
Mm-hmm.
right? And now's the time to come together. There will be so many people that are losing it right now.
Yeah.
And I don't blame you, but you're operating at an old set of tools, instruments that aren't going to serve you. If you want to serve your children, look, I've seen hard times. My family went through it in the 80s,
Yeah.
and multiple other times. And trust me, you feel it. Your kids feel it too. Everything that you're going through. However, for someone who has had anxiety for the most of his life, there's a lot of things that I hide so that they don't ingrain in themselves.
Yeah.
So if you are struggling right now, and it's not a trade, it's not a quality you want your kids to learn, keep it to yourself. Keep it to yourself, talk to your spouse about it, talk to a friend, but show them in a time of uncertainty a way through.
Yeah.
Don't show them the problem.
Right. I think that's a great way to end it, Sam.
Okay.
I think it's a great way. So, on that note, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. We appreciate your patience today with the little glitchers. Obviously, I'm sure, things like that pop up, but we appreciate your consistency as well with us. And leave a comment if you have any suggestions for parents, or if you're struggling as well right now to kind of create that consistency within your household. Because let's get real, we don't know if there's going to be a lockdown. We don't know if we're going to be forced to actually be confined within our homes. So let's take advantage of our roles and responsibilities. So we will see all of you next time. Have a great day, everybody.